Hello, eSparkers! Today we are going to read an excerpt of a passage and analyze how a key event is introduced and developed as the text progresses. Have you heard of the Oregon Trail? In the mid-1800s, thousands of American pioneers packed up their covered wagons and headed west across the American U.S. in search of a better life. As we read about the Oregon Trail together, we will analyze how this event is introduced and developed throughout the text. We are going to use this graphic organizer to help us keep track of our notes as we read. You might want to sketch your own version of this in your reading journal and take some notes as you watch this video. Let's take a look at the first paragraph. Starting in the 1840s, thousands of hardy American pioneers headed west in hopes of finding a better life. It was not easy. Danger and hardships were certainties, but so was adventure and opportunity. This is the introductory paragraph, and where the author introduces the topic of the Oregon Trail. Now that I've read the introductory paragraph, I know that this passage is about American pioneers traveling west, and I will also be reading about some of the difficulties these people experienced. Take a look at our graphic organizer with the notes I added. Pay close attention to the main topic column as we add the details from the rest of the excerpt. Let's read paragraph 2. The first immigrants to go to Oregon in a covered wagon did so in 1836. The first organized wagon train made the journey in 1841. The trail's main starting point was Independence, Missouri. From there, it traveled through what is now Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming, Idaho, and into Oregon. The trail followed many major rivers, including Nebraska's Platte River and the Snake River in Idaho, before finally reaching the Columbia River in Oregon. In this paragraph, the author goes into more detail about the setting, when and where it started, and also specific details about the geography and how the people planned their routes. Now look at our notes. You can start to see how the author is developing the information about the event. We started by reading very basic information about the Oregon Trail in the introductory paragraph, and in the second paragraph, the author has provided more details about where the Oregon Trail began. Let's move to the next paragraph. The timing of the journey was crucial. Leave too early in the spring and the trail could be impassable. Leave too late and travelers could get caught in the mountains as winter approached. The journey took 4 to 6 months and covered a distance of 2,170 miles. Here are the important details of this paragraph. It's about planning for time of departure. Travelers had to take into account how long the journey was expected to take and the weather they expected to encounter. Take a look at our graphic organizer now. It started in Independence, Missouri, which is on line 2, and they went over 2,000 miles west from there, which is on line 3. Wow, 2,000 miles is pretty far. Let's look at paragraph 4. The wagons, pulled by oxen, were 4 by 12 feet and carried about 1,000 pounds of supplies. Everything needed to survive was in those wagons and there was little room for extras. Early sections of the trail were littered with items thrown away in attempts to lighten the load. What do you think are the important details? Write them down in your reading journal. Did you pick the same ones I did? So the people traveled 2,000 miles in covered wagons with only the bare essentials. That sounds like a very difficult trip to make. So far, by glancing at our notes, we can tell that planning was an important part of this journey. Here's the last paragraph. Pause the video so you can read it and jot down the key details. Press play when you are done to see if we picked the same ones. Are these the details that you picked? So this is our graphic organizer when we have all of our notes filled in. Yikes! Not only did they have to travel 2,000 miles from Missouri in a wagon with only a few items, but people had to walk because the wagons were packed full and also were getting sick all the time. Can you imagine how hard this trip must have been? But these people were convinced that they were on their way to a better life, so they were willing to work hard to get it. In the excerpt we read about the Oregon Trail, not only did we pick out details from the paragraphs, but we used a graphic organizer to help us analyze and organize our notes to see at a glance how the event, westward expansion, was developed throughout the text. Now you have some practice with analyzing how an event is developed in a text. If you can do this for an event, you can apply the same skills when reading about an individual or an idea. This is another strategy that you can use to help your comprehension when reading informational text.